পৃষ্ঠা 281 Exercise. Change the following into indirect speech. Assertive sentences. 1. He said, quote, "You are a funny fellow," unquote. He said that I was a funny fellow. 2. Quote, "I will be back next year," unquote. I called that I would be back the following year. 3. The boy said to his friends, quote, "I went to school yesterday," unquote. The boy told his friend that he had gone to school the previous day. 4. I said to Orgho, quote, "I will teach you how to swim," unquote. I told Orgho that I would teach him how to swim. Quote, "We don't know," unquote, answered the children, quote, "He has gone away," unquote. The children answered that they didn't know and that he had gone away. 6. She said at last, quote, "Our baby is going to be healthy," unquote. She said at last that their baby was going to be healthy. 7. He told the police that a thief had entered their house. Number 7. আবার পড়ছি. He said to the police, quote, "Last night a thief entered our house," unquote. He told the police that a thief had entered their house the previous night. 8. The teacher said to his students, quote, "You must love your motherland," unquote. The teacher told his students that they must love their motherland. 9. He said, quote, "I was playing the piano," unquote. He said that he had been playing the piano. 10. The poet Keats has said, quote, "Beauty is truth, truth beauty," unquote. The poet Keats has said that beauty is truth and truth is beauty. 11. She said, quote, "It has been raining," unquote. She said that it had been raining. 12. Nandini will say, quote, "I have been reading a play," unquote. Nandini will say that she has been reading a play. 13. My teacher said, quote, "Oil floats on water," unquote. My teacher said that oil floats on water. 14. They said, quote, "We must obey the laws of our country," unquote. They said that they must obey the laws of their country. 15. Obro said, quote, "We cannot be happy in this world," unquote. Obro said that they cannot be happy in this world. 16. The watchman said, quote, "None can visit the zoo after 5 p.m., unquote. The watchman said that none can visit the zoo after 5 p.m. 17. Quote, "I shall be doing exactly the same work next Wednesday," unquote. He said that he would be doing exactly the same work next Wednesday as he was doing that day. 17 আবার পড়ছি. Quote, "I shall be doing exactly the same work next Wednesday," unquote. He said, quote, "as I am doing today," unquote. He said that he would be doing exactly the same work next Wednesday as he was doing that day. 18. Kaushik said to me, quote, "This book was lent to you weeks ago and you have just returned it," unquote. Kaushik told me that the book had been lent to me weeks before and I had just returned it. 19. The teacher said, quote, I will teach you the same lesson tomorrow that I taught you yesterday, unquote. The teacher said that he would teach us the same lesson the next day that he had taught us the previous day. 20. My sister said, quote, 12 months make a year, unquote. My sister said that 12 months make a year. Interrogative sentences. 1. She said, quote, what's the matter, unquote. She asked what the matter was. 2. I asked the man, quote, why did you kill the goat, unquote. I asked the man why he had killed the goat. 3. Quote, how many will you eat, old man, unquote, the vendor said. The vendor asked the old man how many he would eat. 4. Quote, will it be all right, unquote, Kajal asked. Kajal asked if it would be all right. 5. The teacher became angry with the students and said, quote, why have you again disturbed the class, unquote. The teacher became angry with the students and asked why they had again disturbed the class. 6. He said to me, quote, what shall I do after the examination, unquote. He asked me what he should do after the examination. 7. The girl said to me, quote, did you write to me before, unquote. The girl asked me if I had written to her before. 8. Quote, can you tell me the way to the nearest inn, unquote. The traveller asked the peasant. The traveller asked the peasant if he could tell him the way to the nearest inn. 9. The man said to me, quote, would you mind closing the door, unquote. The man asked me if I would mind closing the door. 10. Father said, quote, where had you been yesterday, unquote. Father asked where I had been the previous day. 11. My mother said to her, quote, is not poverty a curse, unquote. My mother asked her if poverty was a curse. 12. The teacher said to the pupil, quote, who did you beat yesterday, unquote. The teacher asked the pupil whom he had beaten the previous day. 13. Neelu said to me, quote, who is your ideal hero, unquote. Neelu asked me who my ideal hero was. 14. Mr. Roy said, quote, how do you define death, unquote. Mr. Roy asked me how I would define death. 15. My friends said to me, quote, would you like to enjoy a short trip by car tomorrow, unquote. My friends asked me if I would like to enjoy a short trip by car the next day. 16. The girl said to me, quote, would you mind doing this, unquote. The girl asked me if I would mind doing that. 17. Sonu said to Ranu, quote, Why are you not going to school today? Unquote. Sonu asked Ranu why she was not going to school that day. 18. Quote, Students, will you listen to me, please? Unquote, asked the teacher. The teacher asked the students if they would listen to him. 19. My aunt said to my uncle, quote, Have you left the newspaper in the garden? Unquote. My aunt asked my uncle if he had left the newspaper in the garden. 20. The man said to me, quote, What can I do for you? Unquote. The man asked me what he could do for me. 21. Mother said to me, quote, Will you please stop using mobile phone? Unquote. Mother politely asked me if I would stop using mobile phone. Mother requested me to stop using mobile phone. HS Model Question 2024 wbchse. Imperative sentences. 1. I said to the boy, quote, Do as I tell you, unquote. I told the boy to do as I told him. 2. The student said, quote, Madam, may I leave the class now? Unquote. The student asked Madam if he might leave the class then. 3. Quote, Stay at your trade, unquote, said Devi kindly. Devi kindly told him to stay at his trade. 4. Robert Hallett said, quote, Please don't ask me why, unquote. Robert Hallett requested not to be asked why. 5. Quote, Listen to the music, child, unquote. 5. Quote, Listen to the music, child, unquote, she pleaded. She pleaded with the child to listen to the music. 6. Quote, Climb up, little boy, unquote, said the tree. The tree told the little boy to climb up. 7. He said to the man, quote, Excuse me, sir, unquote. He politely asked the man to excuse him. He asked the man to excuse him by addressing him, sir. 8. Mother said to her son, quote, Don't run in the sun, unquote. Mother told her son not to run in the sun. 9. Uncle said to me, quote, Pack your bag and visit the sea, unquote. Uncle told me to pack my bag and visit the sea. 10. Quote, Let's sit down here and talk the matter over, unquote, said Sir Davy to Faraday. Sir Davy suggested to Faraday that they sit down there and talk the matter over. 11. He said, quote, Let me have a cup of coffee, unquote. He requested to have a cup of coffee. 12. The gardener said to us, quote, Please keep off the grass, unquote. The gardener requested us to keep off the grass. Prishtha 283. 13. My friend said to me, quote, Let's play table tennis, unquote. My friend suggested that we play table tennis. 14. The minister said, quote, Please obey the chair, unquote. The minister requested them to obey the chair. 15. The student said, quote, Good morning, sir, unquote. The student greeted the teacher saying good morning. The student wished the teacher good morning. 16. The worker said, quote, let me do my duty, unquote. The worker requested to be allowed to do his duty. 17. The commander said to the soldiers, quote, march forward, unquote. The commander ordered the soldiers to march forward. 18. I said to him, quote, let me try once again, unquote. I asked him to let me try once again. 19. He said, quote, let him do whatever he likes, unquote. He suggested letting him do whatever he liked. 20. The man said to me, quote, don't forget to tell her, unquote. The man reminded me not to forget telling her. Optative sentences. 1. The teacher said to me, quote, may God bless you, unquote. The teacher wished that God might bless me. 2. They said, quote, long live our leader, unquote. They expressed the wish that their leader would live long. 3. The princess said, quote, had I the wings of a bird, unquote. The princess wished that she had the wings of a bird. 4. She said, quote, may her soul rest in peace, unquote. She wished that her soul might rest in peace. 5. I said to my brother, quote, may you come round soon, unquote. I wished my brother a speedy recovery. Exclamatory sentences. 1. The giant said, quote, how selfish I have been, unquote. The giant exclaimed with regret that he had been very selfish. 2. He said, quote, good heavens, what a disaster, unquote. He exclaimed in dismay that it was a disaster. 3. Rini said, quote, how nice the bird is, unquote. Rini exclaimed with delight that the bird was nice. 4. Sushoma said, quote, what a forgetful creature I am, unquote. Sushoma exclaimed with frustration that she was a forgetful creature. 5. The earth said, quote, alas, now there is only sand, unquote. The earth lamented that then there was only sand. 6. The king said, quote, alas, our enemy is too strong, unquote. The king exclaimed with regret that their enemy was too strong. 7. She said, quote, wow, what a beautiful scene it is, unquote. She exclaimed with wonder that it was a beautiful scene. 8. Chandni said, quote, alas, Brazil has lost the match, unquote. Chandni lamented that Brazil had lost the match. 9. Tina said to me, quote, alas, he is no more, unquote. Tina exclaimed to me with sorrow that he was no more. 10. The spectator said, quote, what a fantastic century, unquote. The spectators exclaimed with delight that it was a fantastic century.